While I'm looking at some clock radios, this one's a bit of a rare one. What brand is it? I'm not even sure. It's an Audiosonic. Very faded there, but it's actually a stereo one. Got a stereo pilot light there, 2 speakers in it, even an external antenna on it. Yeah, made for Kmart in Hong Kong. I think Audiosonic was one of their brand names. Never known as a particularly good brand name, probably because of that reason. That doesn't sound too good. It came from Kmart. Guess I should plug it in and it's loose in there. It's got quite a nice big display on it. Not a very bright one though, unless it's got a dimmer somewhere. I can hear the radio running. Oh, bright dimmer. Oh. So it's either so dim you can't see it, or so dim that you wouldn't see it in the daylight. That you barely see at night, so I think that display might be down in brightness. Certainly those decimal points go a lot brighter when the segments flash off. And it sounds like we've got a balance control. Ooh, it's actually got a light up dial in there too, which if I don't show up on the camera, there's actually a light down there, so that's a nice feature. Yeah, that whole dial's lit up. Now we've got the tone control, bass or treble, well, high or low I guess. That's on manual auto. What's that do? Doesn't have a label on that, maybe it's worn off. Must be radio on off. Musical buzzer, this metal bit's peeling off. FM AM. Oh, that's manual auto. That doesn't seem to do anything. So does the radio even pick anything up? It's not sounding like it's doing much. And it doesn't seem to switch from AM to FM. It's probably why someone got rid of it. The radio's basically dead, I think. Nothing else I need to touch, is there? Right dim. That must be alarm mode, auto. That's a bit disappointing. I was hoping to get some stereo radio out of a clock radio, which wasn't a common thing. I mean, besides those Bose ones that were sold, I don't know, when were they, late 90s or something? Maybe mid 90s, they sold a few of those, but they were quite expensive, I think hundreds of dollars. But quite a nice unit. I can't really think of any other stereo clock radios. I bet Tandy or someone would have had one in their range for some exorbitant price. But most people never bought them. I wonder if that's an AM radio. I can see something there. I bet that's yes, AM radio rods come loose, so that's probably why we got no reception. It's probably ripped some wires off that or something. Is that going to come apart? I think they're just stuck together from whatever. Dirt and filth probably. Do I need to take the knob off? No, I don't believe I do. I think it should come off above this display, this lid. Oh no, the display bit part's coming with it, so we do probably need to take the... Oh yeah, that ain't coming off. Well, all our switches are falling off. Oh yeah, so that's... Oh, of course, that lifts up. Are they metal? Something hard and noisy. Ah, that's come off now. They do sound like they're made out of aluminium or something. Which I doubt, but... Oh, there we go. So we've got to get the front display part up. Yeah, there's our poor old antenna rod. Doesn't look like it's actually disconnected though. That's just popped out of its little holder there. So this thing's probably been dropped at some point. I wonder if it's damaged anything. There's some output transistors here by the look of it with glue all over them. Probably that horrible brown glue. Heaps of dust. It's a Texas Instrument clock chip. And that's right, it's got a big 6.5mm headphone socket on it. And they're actually quite decent sized speakers in it. Made in Taiwan. 8 ohms at 1 watt. Which one? That's radio on. Where's the volume? Oh, that's right.
An emergency declaration for the state.
How's that working now?
Making federal funding available to the areas hardest hit by a deadly tornado. At least 25...
Why would moving that thing make it work? Shouldn't affect it too much. Let's get some of that. Actually, I might brush the dust off those pots before I clean them, rather than try and squirt some of it down inside there. Ugh, disgusting. Yeah, upwards facing pots, not the best idea when all the dust gets in there.
This is what's more. The majority of the crowd of 15,126 was deflated midway through the second half. At half-time, it was game on 2 tries apiece. Cronulla Sutherland leading St George Illawarra 12 points to... Then the Sharks capitalised to strike 7 tries to 2. Earlier at Hunter Stadium, Newcastle scored a valuable win over...
Light goes off when I press in what I think is AM FM. Oh, that's manual auto actually. Wrong switch. So that would make sense. You don't want the light on when you're in alarm mode. That's AM FM, I think.
Towards an
now it works.
Tonight's match.
Weird.
On Stadium. Yeah.
This seems to change band. What's that antenna socket thing? Can I get the stereo light up? Better shut that up. Where's that antenna lead gone? There. Could just hook to the back of it, I guess. Oh yes, we have a stereo light lit. I'll put that on there. Yeah, I'm going to take that outside and dust it out. Well, the dust in that one smelt rather good as well, so another perfumed dust. At least when they were letting their clock radio get dirty, they did it with nice smelling dust. But that's got the worst of it out there, but I don't know why. Probably just the LEDs are worn out, although then again these resistor chain here is looking very cooked, so I don't know if that could cause a dimmer display. It's probably, well, yeah, no, the mains goes through the transformer. Assembled by Hung 9 in Hong Kong. And nothing much written on the main board other than the SER 35-1. It's got a UA chip in it, 767 D Jakarta. Interesting. So some sort of FM stereo decoder, I guess. A lot of IF cans in it, certainly more than the usual basic radio. And yeah, output transistors. So yeah, those resistors have me interested. What the hell? Oh, I think I might have just added a dry joint to it by pressing that. I might flick that clock board out and have a look. How does the clock display come out is the next problem. Or do we take this whole module? Got to be careful. That's the dial cord. That's on a separate bit. Maybe this whole module comes loose. It looks like it probably does. No, it's joined on. That's what it looks like. It's joined onto the other bit here. There's a couple of screws behind there. I was hoping the circuit board would come out. But they're on a weird angle, so maybe you've got to take the whole thing out of the case the whole sub-chassis thing and radio and clock. We can just get to it. Hopefully that'll save us the hassle of doing something like that. Does that? I feel there's something. Oh yeah, there is another screw because it's hiding under the wiring harness. There we go. We've quite got a dry joint, but we're probably not far off. Definitely wants resoldering. I don't know what value they used to be. So we've got bridge rectifier, so I guess AC out of the transformer. Well, they normally have AC out of the transformer because that's where they get their 50 hertz to run the clock. They just synchronise to the mains basically, or use that as a source of timing signal. Let's see what these resistors measure. So I think there was one there, 38 ohms, and then that was the pair of them, 2.5 meg, is that right? No, I think it goes across to here. It's certainly not going to be that high. 76 ohms. So they all seem to be like around 38 ohms. What's the next preferred value? 33 ohms or 39 ohms, I guess. I can see the 3 and the orange band there, but after that I think we're just cooked. And it's flaking off, and the black. And unfortunately, of course, the band I need is missing, which is what was the second. Yeah, they've all got the orange on them. So what does that actually do? Does it go to the... goes to this brown wire by the look of it that goes all the way up there somewhere. Got a resistor. And that's possibly connected to the brown wire. Yeah, so they're either a 33 or a 39. Be strange for them to measure a bit low. And there's, what is that, a little diode in there? Yep. So that's 608, 609. Oh, they've actually, I think the two together are meant to go in there. 609, 623 or something. Doesn't matter which way they're in series, but would be nice if we could get a bit more brightness out of it. Now that electro, I guess, is right up against that as well. Worth a check, I guess, just to see what it measures. Let's see if it's charged up or not. Where are you? No voltage. $15. Now, I'd say that's high, but what value is it? You'd think that would be like 1,000 mic or something. And it's a 470 16 volt. Yeah, it should be 0.2 something, so that's what I would have thought. That's probably cooked. What's this other little one? That'll be that 2 pins there, I guess. 14. And there's one more down here. 4.1 sounds a bit more reasonable. And that is a 135. Yeah, a bit high for that. That one is a 47 mic. I think I've got the right thing. 15 seems a bit high. Yeah, it should be down, so they're all high, those caps. So whether it's worth changing them or not, I'm tempted to find a little pen and write down what those resistors are there. Just write 38R. So what was the pair of them? It was 70 something, I think. Assuming they're the same value resistors. 77. So 39 and 39 is about 78, isn't it? So I think I have to assume they are meant to be... Oops, I'll turn my soldering iron off. Yeah, joint's terrible. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that right even. Sometimes leads get so hot and that they won't tin again. It's not too bad though. Oops, that moved the other joint. It was still liquid by the look of it. Yeah, they're not taken to the board the best. Sometimes you just got to scrape the copper a bit. Got a million wires in the way. Those resistors are right next to this capacitor, so it's not surprising it's gotten hot and lost some value. Yeah, it's definitely pretty well shot, that one. For a 470. Should check the polarity, I guess. It is marked by the look of it. Soon find out, I guess, by powering it up and measuring it. Well, I certainly shrunk the 470 microfarads down. That's the new one versus the old one. I forget how much bigger they were back in them days. I mean, I don't know when this would have been made, I guess possibly the early 80s even. Looking at it, and the fact it's Hong Kong as well, I think I could say early to mid 80s at least. Probably no later than that. But muzzle change them, it probably won't make any difference to the display, but it's worth a try. It's probably not going to help. Possibly reducing the power supply voltage or something. And that should be a 47, yeah. This thing must run reasonably hot, and given how old it is, it's probably been switched on for most of that period, you would assume. But whether that radio stopped working, maybe it got dropped and stopped working, but I can't see why. Yeah, the soldering's not real brilliant in this, but it probably just looks worse than it really is. I don't see why that rod antenna would have affected anything just being loose in there, but it may have done, or maybe there's some other intermittent problem that's decided to work for now. Guess we'll soon find out when I put the cover back on, because that's when it'll play up if it is that. Now that other capacitor right there. Come on. Sometimes they don't want to unsolder in a hurry. That's got it. Yeah, not the greatest looking cap. Negative on that side. Not that these replacement ones are the greatest, but they'll do for trying to get this going. It's never like there's so much use again, even if the display is any good, which I have my doubts about. This will probably look exactly the same as it did before. Just have a little bit of solder form in there. Pretty sure it'll be just as dim and terrible as before. Oh, let's have a look. I think that's about the same. Are we on dim or bright though? Yeah. Don't think it's any better. Now, turn that off. We should have a radio. Not playing no games. So those electrodes were, even though they're a bit out of value, didn't make much difference. I guess the other thing I could check is those resistors, what they actually, if they're just dropping a voltage, which I assume they are. Now where do I find ground in this thing's the other problem. It is the ground on the radio going to be the ground for the clock. Oh, we're just getting some pretty random readings there at the moment, but that connection may not be the best. Oh, I guess that's, so that might be related to the display. The fact it's going up and down as the display flashes. How do we set this thing? Oh yeah, fast set, slow set, time set. That works. Yeah, fast set's pretty dicky. A bit random. It doesn't seem to keep running unless you fiddle with it a bit there. Not surprising, that's got some problems. But anyway, that should steady that voltage up. But if it's going on and off for the clock, those resistors may well affect the brightness of the display or something. Now we've got nothing there. So is it AC? Ooh, maybe it is. It's only 2.3 volts, that doesn't seem much good. I guess one thing I could do is dag something across one of them and see if it brightens the clock up at all. That switch has something to do with bypassing them or something. They don't seem to connect. Yeah, I guess that brown wire, which I still don't know what that does. Does that connect to the display? I think it goes to that pin. Oh, it does. That comes across to there. So it's quite likely they could be the common anode or cathode or whatever. Although these are multiplex normally, so maybe not. Then they go to this switch. Does that connect to something here? Seems to go to the black switch. Now which one's a bright dim? Oh yeah, that's what it is, I think. Seems to connect to the black wire when I press that switch off. Now is that the bright position or the dim position? That's the bright position. So these are definitely related. So what have we got? potentially 33 ohms. So it'd be 60, about 90 ohms. What would be 3 times 33 is 99, isn't it? So it's 100 ohm basically. So that makes me think I'll just disconnect that chain and put 100 ohms in its place. Turn the power off, didn't I? Good. Because why not? Because it's currently higher than that, so they may have got a bit high if they were 33s. Since they're all measuring like... In fact, they all measure around the 38 anyway, would suggest they are the correct value, but... Interesting, I can actually see numbers on this sort of... Almost looks like 3 something something burnt into the plastic, into the diffuser. Like I say, if it's been running all that time, it could be the case that something's changed there. Maybe just the sun's done something to it, who knows. And it looks the same. Or does it? Yeah, it's worse than before, I think. Barely see it on the dim mode, so how the hell could it be? How on earth can it be dimmer than it was before at 100 ohms? Well, let's measure those resistors now they're out of circuit, I guess. From there to there is 116 ohms. So how does putting a lower value in it make it even dimmer? You'd assume that a higher value would make it dimmer. Let me just solder them back in and see that. Yeah, it's definitely brighter in the dim mode. Oh no, it's not. No, it's about the same. No, I thought it was just a bit brighter than that, but it does seem dimmer than before. I guess one thing I could do is bypass one of those resistors and see if it... I think it does anything. Interesting. You'd think that would brighten it up a bit. Doesn't seem to do a thing, so maybe these don't do what I thought they did. Yeah, they make zero difference basically. Even though they do seem to be hooked to the dim switch. So more likely it's just worn out. Let's have a look. The dim switch, okay, so it's a black wire and a brown wire, which is basically what I thought. I think that black wire, so it is that black and brown. So hang on, it's dimmer when they're in circuit. Is that right? Ohms, diode. No, it's brighter when they're... So dim is open circuit. No, wait up. Which position's dim? Dim is the down position. Yeah, which is open circuit. So what does it go to, that filter cap by the look at it, or ground, is it? whatever that is, the negative of the capacitor. So by grounding those resistors, there must be another connection here somewhere, surely, if they... Oh, let's see, what's these other components? Oh, is it that? There's a resistor there to ground, okay. Which is... So in the dim mode we have... Oh, it's saying short circuit. Oh, I probably got the switch across it, have I? We've got 500 ohms. And that gets shorted out. Well, how does that not make it brighter? Maybe the display's just knackered. Me putting a lower value there should increase the brightness. But at least going, well, it's only 14 ohms difference, I guess. It's not a big... But even when I put that right across, assuming this resistor's good, I guess we better... Oh, you're kidding me. It can't be open circuit. No such thing. You're joking. No, there it is. I was going to say there's no way. It's got some glue on it, I think is about it. So shorting out the whole chain, from there, assuming that it is working when I do that, doesn't make the slightest difference. Oh, maybe it is making the slightest difference. Oh yeah, you can see it, it does change ever so slightly. Which was that button? Somehow reset back to 12. Now I can't see the difference. Oh, there we go. When this thing actually connects, that's slightly brighter. And that's bypassing the whole chain down to half the resistance or something. Ooh, that resistor's getting quite hot in my hand. God damn. Wow, that really warms up quick. So there's quite a bit of current being pulled for hardly any difference. So I think we can say the display is probably shot. Okay, back onto this clock radio again. I can't even remember where I got with it, but I think I'd gone over most of it. And it wasn't a particularly bright display on it. Where are we? Manual, auto, I can't even remember how to operate it. That's FM AM. One of those was on. I seem to remember. Did I leave the speaker plugged in or unplugged or something? Just got to get the right combo of buttons. So that one's up. Yeah, that was on off, I think. That was auto manual. And FM AM. Let's focus on the light up dial. Yeah, I think the camera did its usual trick of battery going flat or memory running out or something. So I think this can actually go back together. Be good to get it off the bench. And yeah, it's not really not in the best condition as far as the cabinet goes. Not in the best because it hasn't got a very bright display. Maybe it was meant to be that dim. Oh, one thing I should do with these, and I guess that hole there is clean all that while I've got it to pieces. That's an old cotton bud there, that'll do. And my method has been lying outside, so no doubt it's all ran out. Never got any in it. But it Doesn't help when you tip it over. Okay, what do I do with the cotton butter? I'll just clean that out down in there a bit. All the knobs are out. And clean these little knobs off. Including if you can get that little white bit across the middle. Clean always looks a lot better. And that dirt along the edge there. I think these all, well, they do go a particular way around. But I don't think there's any difference from one pot to the other, which one goes where. Usually they'd be symmetrical as well, you couldn't get them the wrong way around, but these ones are not. They're offset to one side. But yeah, definitely look better without that grot on those. There, then we've got the tuning knob. It's got a bit of damage to it, I think. Almost looks like something's corroded into it there. Maybe possible to polish it off. And hang on, we've got more screws here, haven't we? What didn't I screw back together? Okay, the front. That's the problem when you don't touch something for like 2 weeks. When you're halfway through it and things just happen and you don't get back to it. But usually you can work it out again. Bit of muck under there wants getting rid of, I think. I can try the method on that. Whether it'll come off or whether it's built into the aluminium because it's corroded in, but I think that is coming off. Not that it matters much under there. It's probably the only bit that'll come up really well will be the bit you don't see. It's still got a little bit of stuff on the front there. I might even give this Perspex a bit of a polish. Even though it's meant to have lacquer on it, we're getting a bit of aluminium off it by the look of it, so it may not be that well lacquered. Oh, that was the issue too. We got the foil's lifting up there, so it really wants some sort of glue poking under there and it holding down, clamping down or something until it's set, something pretty strong, I'd say. But given the condition of this thing, I don't think I'm even going to bother. There's still some muck coming off there for some reason. This one's never going to look that good again. Big dent in the front there. And we've got this damage to the fake wood grain. One thing I haven't done is clean out all the speaker grills. But again, I don't think I'll bother too much. And the other thing I want is my polish. Oh, there it is. And this one doesn't have any writing on it, so I'm a bit safer. It's got a weird patch there, like some tape's been stuck to it or something. Something has happened to that. I'll get a bit of that on the cotton bud. Let's see what happens with this one. But at least there's nothing for me to rub off it that I shouldn't. Lesson learned there. I think that's got the worst of the bit over the display gone. Or over the radio dial. There's still a little patch of something there, but yeah, that's a lot better than it was. That's without even wiping the polish off properly. Whatever that weird patch there was is gone. Still quite a few scratches over the clock. The radio's actually come up really clear there. Might give it a little bit more going over the clock end of things, see if we can improve that at all. But that radio bit's almost like new. Besides a couple of deeper scratches, it's got rid of the worst of that. So it shows this stuff can do a good job by the look of it. Almost looks like it's got something on the inside of that bit there. Have we got rid of it? Come on, dry up. I think we have got rid of some of the scratches. That is still pretty rough and some quite deep scratches. She's had a pretty hard life, this thing. You could probably keep going, but that is a lot better than it was. And I think I did try a bit on this stuff and it didn't do anything to fix it. It may have made it worse. I guess we can, got nothing to lose really. Try that little patch of it there. It may eat even more of the, it's my fear, eat more of the stuff off. I think it's, you know, you can see the brown. And it's actually, maybe I didn't get around to doing this, taking the whiteness out of it a bit, which is good. So it's definitely taken some of the paint off, but at least it's not as obvious as it was. Well, if that stays like that, that's actually a good improvement. You know, I thought I actually went over this, but maybe I didn't get round to it. Well, if it does that, if it stays anything like that, I'll have to wipe it clean again. And that's a surprisingly good improvement. See what it's like when it dries out though. Yeah, quite a bit of brown coming off, so I took a bit of the paint off it, but if it's got some sort of stuff eating into the paint, that can be, and it's oxidised or something, that can be a good thing to take a little bit of it off. It's lightening up. Better than it was though. What have we got there? Some sort of muck there a bit. Yeah, that's nowhere near as visible as it was. That bit's still quite a bit lighter, but here it was whitish. Almost tempted to give that another go and over, see if I can sort of get rid of more, but it is still drying out a little bit, so it's certainly not perfect. There seems to be wet stuff in the middle there now. Yeah, it's coming back a bit. You can sort of see that lighter patch there. Still less harsh than it was, but yeah, this thing is pretty rough. I'm not sure there's much point trying to... I'm tempted just to do it just to see, since it really isn't any good anyway. Might as well see what this polish can do. Use the crappy ones to learn about what to do with the better ones. Oh, there's a bit of a weird patch there. And some of this may even be getting to the point where you want to take some of the lacquer off, just, but again, got to be careful of the lettering. There's some corroded patches there, and I don't know if I'm going to make it better or far worse, but I'm not really fussed about this one, so it's a good chance to learn a bit. I think we're actually maybe taking, I think the lacquer's actually got to the point where it's causing issues, so actually cutting a bit of it off is probably a good thing in a way, but then you might have the issue of this stuff all... Yeah, that's what's happening. I think I can actually see there's probably... I think I've cut through the lacquer there and there. It's just right at the end of its life, that lacquer, I think. If it is a lacquer coating, there must be something like that on there. And it's just going yellowy, and like old varnish does. Goes sort of rough and yellowy. Yeah, it's come up quite shiny underneath, but... unless you do the whole thing, but yeah, that I think is largely past its best days. Did I check the... I can't remember if I checked the buttons. I was, maybe that's something I was going to do actually, I think. Oh, time set, fast and slow. I'll get it right in a minute. Yeah, that's right, that button was dicky. I was going to have a go. Yeah, there was something else needed doing. Yeah, the fast one's a bit off in the case of these. So I shouldn't have screwed it back together yet. Might just have a quick look at that. It'd be interesting to see if we can do much with it. Some of them are pretty cheapo sort of membrane contacts, or like a little dome bit of metal they used. I think a lot of the early joysticks used to use them, like a sticky taped on dome bit of metal. I could have found the old Atari and Commodore 64 and stuff joysticks may use something similar. And each time you pressed, you deformed the metal and got it to pretty much what's inside a modern micro switch anyway, just a little dome of metal that presses in when you press on the rubber bit. Now I've got to take the knobs back off. Not a big deal. Until I get to that one, which does not want to come off. Oh, that really doesn't want to come off. Wrong screwdriver. That'd be typical. Put it on at the wrong time and then you can't get it off again. It's coming, I think. Yeah, there we go. Ah, well, that doesn't help. Oh, there I am looking for buttons and they're on the top panel. So let's see, it's going to be something like that, although this has got these little rivets, so that makes me think it's got springs pressing onto those rivets, but was another way of doing it. Just a little sprung bit of bent metal. Oh, these are even different. These are those little twirly ones. So the rivets that hold that on. A lot of dust in there is probably could be part of the issue. Certainly get the dust out of the system. Yeah, very old school. Can't remember the last thing I saw that style of button in. Shut up radio, and what does that say there? It's just a number H177, H178. Now which way around do these go? I think it was the second one in is, let's see, third one in, time set, and then the two at the other end. That should be time set, and these two. That's going slow. Why have I only got 50? I must have pressed sleep or something because we've lost digits here. What on earth is I've lost the hours? Is that meant to be? Oh, it's there when I do that. I must have pressed it into some other mode. Maybe I flicked the switch here. Oh, it just pots, I think. I'll press the switch. No idea. It's going backwards. And minutes only. But, interestingly, it works fine. Maybe it was just a bit of dust in there. That works absolutely perfectly. So the little springy bits on the outside part, they basically just press the steel to cut it into a little spiral shape and stretched it out, I guess. And then there's just a circuit board pad underneath, basically, if I can do that gently without bending the springy bit too much. Yeah, they are a bit dirty. I might just give them all a clean. It's just a tinned pad on the board by the look of it that it presses on. So a bit of dust in there would certainly cause issues. I think it's actually the little front part of that switch is probably the important bit, a little tab sticking out on it. So it's probably just that very front bit it even makes contact with. I want to put that back and see if it runs in the clock. Now, why was one screw bigger than the others? Who knows? Looks like it's that end one anyway. Seems a bit odd. Okay. I've got flashing 12 again. Time set. Slow. Fast. Perfect. So it's probably just that dust in there. But it's been cleaned anyway. Very dim display. But that seems to fix that, so we can put that back together a second time. And I think we'll call that cured. of its main ills. Certainly an interesting one in being a stereo one, but only a cheaper brand at that. But it is amazing how long this stuff from the 80s actually lasts. It's only a Hong Kong special, and there was a few Taiwanese specials in those days, but they did tend to keep going. You get a few of them fail, but a few that had bad quality control or something. But you get that with anything, any brand under warranty and stuff. There's always a few that slip through with issues. Sometimes it's just bad parts they're supplied with by other people. Yeah, quite impressive that it's lasted this long. Got a whole Kmart special. And we want to check the radio one more time, I guess. That's radio on, I think. Yeah.
Part in my curiosity-led life. It's that modesty in the kitchen. Lots of families had one. They were quite the thing in the late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, we haven't got an external antenna, have we? Let's hook one onto it. That's definitely got, oh yeah, we've got the stereo light up. It's a lot brighter than the display. Yeah, this seems to be working alright. Excellent. Oh, at least I know what the story is with that. Not very often you'll see a clock radio with a stereo light on it. So something a bit different. Gonna put that on the pile of clock radios I got here. I might even have a quick look at this other one I got the other day, which I just bought it because it looked cool. And it's a, what is it, a Goldair company that used to make heaters and probably toasters and those sort of things. Well, that's what they were mostly known for. I get a funny feeling someone actually posted a boombox with the Goldair brand on it on Facebook. So they might have made a few electronics. Often these companies did small appliances, and I guess electronics was part of that. So this is the Goldair, kind of a cool looking front on it. Probably getting a bit dusty just sitting around here for a while. But yeah, it's got a nice sort of wedge shape to it. Black. I thought it was a bit different, and like I say, I don't see Goldair brands on this sort of stuff very often. Cord's absolutely filthy again. What is with me getting clock radios with filthy cords? I guess they're the sort of thing that sits, oh, go away, rubber band, sits down the back of bedside tables or whatever, cabinets and stuff, and so they end up like that. I'll better check it, I guess, even though I think this was sold as electrically safe. Still, better to check it yourself. It's doing something. At least the display is reasonably bright in this one, not perfect by any means, but let's see if it's got a reverse run forward. Now that must be time run, you can go backwards or forwards, maybe time cal, alarm 1, alarm 2. Function, alarm 2 off, alarm 1 radio. Really, that's a bit of an odd setup. AM, FM, volume and tuning. Not very much from FM by the sound of it. Might even hook that external antenna up to it. Pretty horrible. That might be the switch. Let's leave it on that channel. Rather tight tuning dial. Volume controls are right, surprisingly. The tuning caps are right. So it's radio on. Yeah, that doesn't work very well. Doesn't turn off. Oh, there it goes. Alarm 2 off. Oh, it's got like a cap that charges up. I'm thinking it'd come on in alarm 1. Very odd. Reverse, run and forward. That must be this button here. The display just went dim, didn't it? Or is that what that does? Yeah. Oh, is that a light sensor? Oh, it is too. There's a little LDR in there. Ha. Yeah, if I put my finger on that, it goes dim. So it goes dim with the darkness, and the brighter the light, the brighter the display. Okay. Snooze alarm off. Where's our... Oh, there they are. Music or buzzer. And then we've got our month. It's got month on it. Oh, cal. So that explains cal is calendar. Oh, nothing separate. Ah, oh yeah, see. Oh no, but that's only got one dot on it as well. Forward, run. There must be minutes forward and backwards, is it? That's run the clock. Oh yeah, we can go backwards. That's kind of handy. It's got the switch to go forward and backwards. That's clock mode. That's our hours. And then if we go to calendar, I guess we've got, is that to the months? 12 months. That's a bit annoying because I've got 12 months and 12 hours, a bit hard to tell. I assume that the days only go up to 31 or something. Oh wow, can we go backwards? That'll be quicker. Let's see if that goes back to 31 or thereabouts. Yeah, 30. Okay, so it's got a calendar mode. That's a bit different. Now did I see, oh yeah, you think there'd be something to light up for alarm 1 and 2. Oh, wait up. Display, function, oh this must be when you turn, oh okay. So one of it is the top, hang on, what mode are we in? Go back to time. So it looks like it only uses the bottom decimal point. And if we switch alarm 2 on, we get the dot up there. And if we switch alarm 1 on, we get the dot up there. So that's a rather weird thing. So and then you got alarm 1. Is it the first one back from the radio? So yeah, rather odd. What does it say about it? It's made in Hong Kong again. Model CR1. And it's, oh, it needs 2 batteries to do your battery backup, so it's probably must be a bit of an early memory chip in it. 2 PP3s. That's got a headphone socket on it. Other than that, not overly exciting. I guess we could have a look inside, see what the hell it's like, see how much dust it's got in it. It's got very tiny screws. But not every day you get to even see one of these clocks. I've never seen this style before that I can think of. But there were a million different clock radios. There must be 1,000 different models or something sold over the years. It's amazing how many different ones there are. Is that enough to pull it apart? It's coming. Got one half loose. something. Oh, there's another screw there I missed. Must be going blind. Yeah, I'm talking. I don't think it's come fully loose though. Yeah, just been a little bit. Oh, they're actually into metal mounting posts. That's something you don't see very often. Oh, yeah, little LDRs for drop down. Massive speaker in it for what it is. That's about as big a speaker as you could fit in a clock radio, I think. Probably the biggest one I've ever seen. So that's, oh yeah, I didn't even, that's snooze and alarm, didn't even try those buttons. Quite a bit of dust. So yeah, not much exciting in there. Looks like the clock chip is hidden under that. And then we've got these two weird, like IF can things. What on earth do they do? They actually seem to go back to the green wires. Maybe, are they touch sensitive? Are they press? They seem to press. I don't think they're just touch sensitive. Why on earth are they coming back to these little cans with little caps and stuff on them? And something goes back near the bridge rectifier. Odd looking little trim pot there. And there's some little strip of circuit board with like 3 links on it mounted up in the air there too. And a very cooked looking Zener diode there that looks like it's been pretty hot. And what have we got here? Oh no, it's not a UPC something. It looks like UECL D66, no idea what that is. And just your pretty much standard radio setup. Can't see what sort of chip it's got in there, but it's interesting it's so heavily shielded. Yeah, well, nothing very exciting there. But yeah, brass mounts built in the top, even little brass threaded bits in the case there. Looks like this is coming off, so I might be able to get that a bit of a clean out. It's just got a couple of slotting bits. Why doesn't it want to come out? It's just caught for some reason. Well, let's get that off and clean all the muck out of there. Like with the other ones, I could do with a massive amount of polishing because it's as scratched as. Obviously people don't leave their stuff just sitting around, but I guess the problem with clock radios is you tend to reach out to turn the alarm off or something and your fingernails come out and crunch into the front of the clock. That's probably why most of them look so scratched on the front. I think I've done it plenty of times. You just sort of reach out and bump the thing. That is quite dirty too, I think. But this does flex a bit, so I better be careful I don't break it. Put a bit of muck on there now. But I think we'll try giving that a bit of a polish. It's not that bad now. I'll clean it up a bit, but there's a lot of fine scratching on it. I guess while I'm practicing fixing up the front of these clocks, I might as well try on another one. But you don't see them so much. Clean all that polish off. Doesn't seem to want to come off. This really seems to have stuck to this stuff. Let's hope it hasn't embedded itself in the plastic or something. I think it's coming off. Yeah, it's taking out some of those, left a bit of scratching as well, I think. So maybe this plastic's a bit softer. Not sure if that's an improvement or not. Yeah, it's still fairly scratchy. Because it's on the angle that it sits on, you really notice it on this one. Yeah, I don't think that's done a great job. I'll put that bit of polishing paper, I'll use this bit I guess. Try it again. See if we can get it off, but I think it's adding its own scratches as well. I'll try and go into more of a circular motion. See if that makes any difference. Seems a lot more sort of greasy on this one than the others, but ooh, it looks like I actually put some marks on there, or does it just need cleaning off? I'm going to try a bit of metho on it. I think I've put a few marks in there. Just make sure I haven't just put 30 marks on the back of it. Yeah, this plastic's a bit weird, even with the metho on the back, it's almost like it's a bit greasy or something. Maybe it does have a coating, yeah, there's something coming off it. But you wouldn't think the inside would be that bad. Quite a bit of muck came off the inside. Yeah, I'll put a few sort of scuffy marks on there. And yeah, it still doesn't look the best. It has taken some of the worst marks off it, but is that a mark on the inside or the outside there? I'll have to give it one more quick go over. Yeah, well, I'll put my marks there. Let's try and I'll stick to going in a straighter motion this time. That's probably as good as it's going to get. Yeah, it kind of seems a bit smokier than, or duller or something than it should be. Like it is a slightly tinted plastic. It doesn't get the clarity quite back as good as you'd hope. Yeah, definitely better than it was when I first got it. It had quite a few marks on it, but I'll see if I can get it a little bit more. Maybe I just need to put it back in there. I better clean the inside out first. Might be able to clean it up a little better than that. But I'm going to put fingerprints all over it, so I won't worry about the outside too much. I'll clean around the edges of it. I should clean that off a bit. Yeah, a lot of filth coming off it. And now I've got all the dust. Get a bit of lint in there, which is not good. actually tend to notice that. On the outside I don't care much for now. Well, it's definitely better than it was, but I'm not the happiest with that. Actually, while I've got this apart, time to run the cotton buds down the switches and stuff. I'll get underneath those switches and get in the little slots they run in. I'll just clean all the muck out of that. And even clean the little knobs themselves, or shafts, or whatever you want to call them. And under these controls. Well, it's looking, actually has come up quite a bit better than it was. Now, well, those screws up those holes, they must have been. And two little ones down the front. Whoops. Didn't think they had such big heads on it. Oops. Feels like it's cross-threading a bit, but I think it's going in alright. Now, do they all come out? I seem to have lost one. That screw is already on the bench, I think. Where'd the other one go? Oh, there it is. Good, so I've got all three of them now. Oh, we did have. Where did that one just disappear out? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it certainly sticks out amongst clock radios of that era. So looking a bit weirder. Definitely got a bit of coating or something on it. Greasy muck on it by the look of it. So a good clean over the whole lot will certainly improve it. Yeah, I thought I might just grab it because you don't see very interesting clock radios very often. I quite like the fluoro display ones, just for the display, but not many LED ones are all that exciting. But that's certainly one of the more interesting ones I've seen in a while. That glue off there. Yeah. Oh, did that LDR go back in? I bet it didn't. I just remembered. I was meant to check the LDR as I put it back together and I didn't. And it looks like it's missed the hole. So there's always some reason to pull them back apart again. I do it around. Speaking of that LDR around, that could do with a clean down in that little... I don't know if I can get down there. Sometimes you need to get a pair of pliers or something and... cutters, I want pliers. Where's all my pliers gone? Sometimes you just squeeze one of these down a bit so you can get it down in that hole a bit. But yeah, I did see that LDR and thought I must make sure I put that in the right position as I put it back together, and of course by the time you go to put it back together you've completely forgotten. And yeah, when you've got a flattened cotton bud you can get down those speaker slots a bit better. And that LDR seems to be quite scratched. That might need a polish as well. Or the cover for it. wouldn't recommend polishing the LDR itself since I think they've got cadmium in them. Even though it's probably locked up in something fairly safe, you still don't want to risk getting cadmium dust anywhere. Yeah, what has happened to that? It's scratched, I think. And I've got to clean that cord at some point, but yeah, it does actually look quite a bit better. Certainly got some fine scratches on it, but that's a lot better than it was. But annoyingly, we're just going to quickly pop the top off. At least this one doesn't have any knobs to take off. That's one good thing about having all those flat controls on the end, is they can just stick out a little slot in the cabinet. Like to come right out, those ones. Sort of cling it in the brass bits. There we go. No, we don't. That one's still clinging in there. Oh, it's kind of tight. So that LDR, what exactly did they do to... How on earth do you get that actually in place, I wonder? Oh yeah, it's just long enough you can sort of poke it in there. And I guess shut the thing up with it going up the hole. Yeah, it's got it. The main problem is remembering to do it. And that plastic's still got a bit of white muck on it. I wonder if that was polish, it probably was. Scrape that off with my fingernail before I put that back together. I thought I did clean along there, but mustn't have done. Is there anything in there? Take two. There's that hole there. Tight, I think it is. But yeah, not the easiest display to read on this thing with the alarm digits and stuff. I guess they really wanted to use the existing decimal points on the display. Well, I didn't even clean the volume control, which didn't really need it, but I should have probably.
The one book the conservative climate deniers should read.
Off. Odd that you set it to alarm and it stays on, or does it fade away? Oh, it does fade away in the alarm setting. I was going to say it shouldn't have the radio on until the alarm's triggered at whatever time. That speaker grill really wants a bit more cleaning out, but yeah, interesting looking clock radio. Interesting shape. And another one to chuck on the pile of interesting but pretty much useless clock radios. I'll just give that cord a quick clean as well, and that should be right. Which I think that's another cord that really wants soaking in something, because it's got 20-30 years worth of muck on there. I guess I could give that a soak of this cleaner stuff. Really kind of ruins it having all that muck on there. Ugh, yuck, look at the stuff coming off it. I'll give it a quick going over for now. And that dirty plug. God, that's been down the back of something for a long time. You think people would dig him out occasionally and give him a clean. Yeah, quite an interesting old 80s one. Thanks for watching.